Hi everyone, I'm here with my rundown for what I read in June. I didn't read a whole lot of books in June. I guess I've been busy. My son getting out of school just makes it a little bit harder. Here they are. I'm going to give you them in order of what I liked least to what I liked most, and let's get into it. I'm starting with one that I DNF'd, and I don't feel good about the fact that I DNF'd this one because I know that this book is good. It's The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. This one is very popular on Book Talk, which is why I picked it up. People have nothing but good stuff to say about this book. I really struggled with it just because it is so hard to read. It is extremely depressing. Maybe I will pick this back up in the winter when I'm looking for like heavier, darker stuff. It takes place at a reform school for boys in the 50s, and it is based on a place that actually existed. And I was like actually reading articles about the place. It is just horrific. The abuse, the unchecked rampant racism, the constant awfulness. I just was not in a place. And but I can tell that it's good. It's got some like ghost stuff. It's a little bit supernatural. I did like the characters. Mainly the reason I DNF'd it is because I was sort of dreading picking it up, and eventually like my Libby hold ran out, and I just like kind of let it go because I was dreading reading it so much. But I put it back on my holds list, so I will read it at some point. Okay, next up was The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I gave this 3.75 stars. I read this one actually trying to have it as an antidote because I was looking for something fun. I thought from what I'd seen on Book Talk that this was a fun, spicy vampire romantasy. I mean, there are vampires and there is some spice. What I wasn't prepared for is the amount of blood, gore, politics, and moments where the main character was near death. And there was no spice at all until chapter 44. I liked it okay, but not enough to send me hurtling towards book 2. This is going to be a trust the process look. Okay, so the next book was Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulik. I also gave this 3.75 stars. I have already talked about this book in my summer reads video. This book is a great summer read. I really struggled to connect with the main character because I just kind of found her so pathetic and a little dumb. I'm not talking about her addiction. That part of her I sympathized with, but I'm just talking about how she was so unable to read a room and how quickly she believed wholeheartedly in ghosts and in her own version of events. That being said, there were some fun reveals and it was a page turner. And I did enjoy reading it. Next up was The Gray Shear by Kim Liggett. I gave this 4.25 stars. So I heard this book described as The Handmaid's Tale meets Lord of the Flies, and I thought that sounded like a super fun time and not at all intense. Lol. But I went right for it. Turns out that was a pretty fair description. This book I feel stands like on the precipice of brilliance, but I just kind of felt like it didn't quite get there. It's very good, don't get me wrong. It's just that this book had the potential to like bowl you over, but it just didn't. At least it didn't for me. That being said, the message that women need to stand together to be strong is loud and clear in this, and for that I'm a fan. The premise is that it's sort of a futuristic or in the past version of our society where they believe that when women turn 16 they get this like magic, which is just sort of men's way of like saying, oh, you know, like they're attractive and we don't like that, because women are very subjugated in this district, and so they send the girls into the woods when they're 16 to capture their magic and let it get out of them so that they can return and be like submissive wives. And so they go out and for this thing called the Gray Shear, where they are just like sort of sent out there and have to survive. So it's a really interesting premise. I would say read it if you like books that are kind of like intense and that are feminist in their scope and kind of make you like, yeah. And it was a page turner. Also, the author's note made me cry. Next up was The Ministry of Time by Kalyan Bradley. I gave this 5 stars. This was by far the top non-fanfic of the month. What a fun story. In the words of Stefan from SNL, this book has everything. It has time travel, it has science, it has history, it has mystery, it has real historical figures in a fictional dystopian version of our world. It's got biting social commentary on race and fascism and so many other issues. But what this book really is a romance. It's kind of lovely, and I was here for it. I know people are confused about what this book actually is and what the genre is. That didn't make me not like it. I was confused about what it was, but I liked it. The premise is that a time portal is discovered in Britain, and so a ministry is created to deal with it. They go back and bring a handful of people from various times in the past to the present, and they give each person a bridge person to help them assimilate. And so the FMC in the book, who I really liked, by the way, I felt like she responded to everything in a way that I understood. She gets this man, she's the bridge, and she gets a man who actually existed, like in history. You can look him up. He was on an expedition to find the Northwest Passage in 1847, but this character is just so charming and funny. I laughed out loud. I loved him. I shipped them. I was conflicted. I felt every feel. This is a solid recommend if you like this kind of thing. And yet somehow my real winner of the month, the book that made me feel the most, was an epic Hermione fanfic called Secrets and Masks by Emerald Slytherin. This is one of the famous canon ones. And so if you're in the Hermione fanfic world, you probably have heard of it, if not read it. It excited me. It broke me. It broke me. It put me back together. It brought me to my knees. I read 2 fics this month and I enjoyed both of them. If you're interested in hearing more about those, I made a separate video about those 2. So please check that out. All right, so that's the look. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you agree or disagree with me, and send me your recommendations. I'm always looking for new things to add to my TBR, aren't we all? Anyway, I will see you next time. Bye.